Hello and welcome to Boomer Live once again, ladies and gentlemen. After a cracker of a cricket game between Pakistan and Sri Lanka, when we joined you live earlier, we did not even know there would be a game, but then we got a game and a half, you would say. What a crazy game of cricket that was! It was possibly the best game of the Asia Cup so far. Went to the nail biter to decide who's going to play against India in the final, and it is Sri Lanka who's going to play the final for the 11th time in the Asia Cup. Sri Lanka continues their legacy in the Asia Cup, you can say. So you can say they won the game throughout, except for the last 2 overs where Sri Lanka tried to make it a mess due to their inexperience. You would say it was a cruise control of a chase, and Zaman Khan and Shaheen Afridi really tried to fight back, but it wasn't to be because it was ultimately Sri Lanka's game who do they really hard. They fought hard. You have to talk about, like Samara Vikrama or Kushal Mendes or Aslanka in the end. These guys set it up, or up front, the start with Kushal Mendes and Pratham Nissanka gave. That is what helped this team to cross over the line quite comfortably. Ultimately, you can say so, winning the game by 3 wickets. And remember, it's never easy to chase in Sri Lankan conditions. And they took on this good Pakistani bowling. And not only they took on, they chased at a run rate of 6 per over towards the end. Nobody gave Sri Lanka a chance, with 250 on the board, but Sri Lanka really showed what they can do. But Jen, what a game of cricket once again.
Oh, absolutely. Very well deserving of a semi final or at least a virtual semi final. Both the teams wanted that spot and they fought for it tooth or nail. I think in many ways you would have to say the small basics, right? Running between the wickets, Sri Lanka were exemplary when it came to running between the wickets. Everything, even balls that were Yorkers by Shaheen Shafridi or on the good length by or on a good length or anything which is not a boundary scoring delivery was still converted into a single or a double. So singles were doubles, doubles were triples, and that's how the Sri Lankan team won it. There were not many boundaries towards the end. Pakistan really were able to dry up the boundaries, but even then Sri Lanka found a way. On the other hand, maybe a little disappointing from Pakistan because they did end up you know uh, a lot of overthrows, I would say, quite a few overthrows and a little bit of lax fielding. It didn't seem like fielding wise they were very aggressive. Only thing that you saw was that run out where
You just lost it in there due to some technical glitches. But either way, as he joins back, but what a game that was. You can say ultimately some poor fielding once again by Pakistan, overthrows that really let them hurt towards the end. But ultimately, also have to say, to a large extent, the Sri Lanka really showed their inexperience towards the latter end. They really did not have players to take the game deep. As Teju says, great ODI pitch in Sri Lanka. I agree with you totally, Teju, because it was a good ODI wicket to say the least. You had a little bit for the pacers, it had a little bit for spinners, and a good batting wicket, a pure cricketing wicket, you can say so. Cricket in Sri Lanka has been good barring the rain, and also because of the rain, you got to see different elements as well. Shortened games, a little bit in for the fast ballers earlier on. Then you can say spinners with the moisture gripping in. Shadab Khan bowled really well today, I thought. And but the way in which our Pakistan played, the way in Pakistan played, you would feel like they were at 15, 20 runs short at least. You should have thought in the middle overs they couldn't really capitalize. I know they got a very good finish by Iftikhar and Rizwan towards the latter end, but that wasn't to be helping them. They should have at least go 270. And I still go back to the factor that when winning the toss here, they should have again looked to maybe ball first in this kind of wicket, primarily because of the fact that it was rain around, and especially in short-term games you could still afford to chase, and that's one mistake which maybe Pakistan did. Pakistan did not ball when they had to bat, and when they did not have to bat, they batted first. So some mistakes will go on to haunt them a long way. But Jaren, once again coming back to you, just talking about the fact in which how Sri Lanka took this game. They were up for the challenge. 250 really did not bother them. The start they got and the partnerships they had, it looked like they were there to win it completely.
Yeah, I think right from the ball one, you saw how Kushal Pereira went after Shaheen Shafridi, and it just felt like Sri Lanka had already orchestrated or created a plan on as to how to chase this down. They knew that they had to go after the bowling early, but then as Darshan Shanaka said in the interview as well, after when the press, post press as well, that he didn't want to lose too many wickets, and they didn't. They only lost I think 1 wicket of Kushal Pereira. After that, you saw both Mendes and Nisanka do a very good job, and they did not give too much away as well when it came to their batting. They played good cricketing shots, textbook shots, and they ensured that slowly but surely they reached a target, and they kept going along with the required run rate. They never let it really creep up. And the moment the spinners came, I think that's the one difference that you saw between the pitch in the morning and pitch post the rain break. Post the rain break, even you saw Pakistan finding it easy to go after the bowling, because you saw that the ball wasn't it wasn't as tacky as before. See, there was still a little bit in it for the spinners. It was not like there wasn't, but it just felt like, also you felt like someone like Shadab again slightly lacked the discipline that maybe not a Velalage,
Yeah,
but a Velalage or a Tikshana had in that earlier period. But
yeah,
I think you would also have to say that they were bowling on a different pitch than what
yeah,
Tikshana and Velalage got, because
yeah,
the two spinners struggled post the break as well. So
absolutely.
overall, you have to say Pakistan slightly rub of the green went against them.
Hmm.
A little bit ironical talking about it, but yeah, I think in many places, you felt Pakistan just had the raw deal,
Yeah,
and
Pakistan
yeah,
team go to hell is what Aisha says. But you know what's an interesting start? Last time, Sri Lanka had won an ODI against Pakistan. Velalage and Patirana were 12 years old. It was back in
yeah,
2015. So it's after 8 long years they have won an ODI against Pakistan. What a moment! I mean, Teju had mentioned it. That was one of the best stadium atmospheres in the recent past in cricket. You have to say one of the best stadium atmospheres. Crazy 35,000 fans chanting your name behind the team throughout. You have to say they deserved a win, like just for the atmosphere what you had in the stadium. It was just best. Anti-captaincy, yeah, there were some questionable decisions by the captain as well. I thought through the middle overs again, Babar Azam was left wanting. I know towards that trend it was sheer brilliance of Shaheen Afridi and a little bit from
yeah.
Zaman Khan really brought the team close. The captaincy was indeed quite poor throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, he tends to make these mistakes. For me, I think Babar is a very rigid captain, if that's the best way to say it. I think he comes up with some of the best plans outside the whole pitch or the ground, but once he's on the pitch, and if his plan doesn't work, it really is difficult for him to find as we say, the spark of creativity, or something magical out of the hat, like something that Dhoni used to pull out. That is
Mhm.
something that I've not seen Babar do yet, and he seems to, sometimes even lose control of his team as well. I think there are times, when you feel like the Pakistan team in itself really gets under pressure, under the pump. You spoke about the crowd, right? It just felt like today Pakistan team was getting the crowd was getting under the Pakistan team's skin, and that's something I feel a captain's job to ensure that such a crowd is, at least your team is resistant of that crowd. Didn't seem
Yeah,
to happen. It seemed like Babar himself, Babar and Iftikhar, I think, almost recreated the angry Pakistani meme. If I can find that photo, I'll definitely give it to you so that you can present it. But yeah, but a lot of questionable decisions. I think in many ways you have to say the selection calls were really good, the players who came in, but then you didn't really seem you really did not seem for them to have an answer to how the pitch had changed. They just expected the pitch to be the same, which was not the case. I think probably Iftikhar and Baba, the two people who were batting after the rain break, would have told that something had changed in the pitch. But
mhm.
I mean, the Rizwan and Iftikhar probably could have or would have said something changed in the pitch, but it just seemed like they expected the same pitch that they got against India to be the pitch today, and that was completely the wrong thinking, I would say.
Absolutely. Dahani reached last night. Actually, he reached today after the game was started. I could थोड़ी दो और देर रुक जाते team के साथ वापस पाकिस्तानी पहुंच जाते. It's fine that he'll be traveling back tomorrow as well. It's been a good 24-hour journey for Dahani. Reach Sri Lanka for 6 hours. We'll be
Safe
back
spot.
tomorrow. Pretty interesting journey. It was just a few journey from hotel room to back to his home. That's possibly one of the most craziest journeys a cricketer can make. But yeah, to be very fair, you have to also say Sappar Lanato. It's fine, it happens with a lot of teams. But let's talk
No,
about
I
Sri
think
Lanka. I mean, we,
today,
we are we are
Aisha, you
talking a
have
lot
to
of
agree.
Pakistan. I think we should put
Yeah,
our focus on Sri Lanka. What a talented team this is. One crazy
yeah,
talented team. Nobody gave them a chance at the start of the Asia Cup. Time and time again, we tell, you write the Sri Lankan team off, they come back hard. In Asia Cups, they've got this legacy about them. I know India won more Asia Cups, but then they just feel comfortable in these tournaments. They come back 11th Asia Cup final most by any team. And to add to that fact, they've just been so good in this entire tournament. Even against India, they were strong. This could have been an unbeaten streak into the final for Sri Lanka. But what did they do? They've been very good in almost every game they played. They fought every game. They showed their batting prowess right from the first game. Sri Lanka, Samara Vikrama, Kusal Mendes, after his first bad outing, he scored two 90s already and a 70, showing that why he's really the player who Sri Lanka once rated. He's finally stepping out whatever his expectation was. Then obviously Patum Nisaga, and I think Kushal Janit Pereira's inclusion is a great addition to this team because he
Yeah.
provides a little bit of explosiveness as well up top.
Yeah, I mean, Abel, I never understood why they brought in a Karna Ratne. Not nothing
He was
against
injured.
Karna
Kushal
Ratne.
Pereira was injured.
Yeah, but then I still believe, that Karna Ratne is kind of going backwards to many ways because remember the Sri Lankan team we really appreciated in the last Asia Cup. The reason we said that is because they were aggressive up top. And I believe that someone like Karna Ratne struggles to do that, especially in white ball format. I still think he's a very good number three batter if you want him to bat there at number three, play a role that Shai Hope does for West Indies, for instance. But now with Kushal Pereira coming in, I think they said Kushal Jalit in the press conference, and I remember reading it on Crickbus, and I was wondering, okay, who is this new talent who's going to be opening next to Patum Nisaka? But glad to see is Kushal Pereira because I'm a huge Kushal Pereira fan. I remember watching that innings he played against South Africa. It was this guy plays with a lot of gumption. We were speaking so highly of Rohit Sharma when he smashed Shaheen Shafridi for 1-6 of a bad delivery. This lad smashed Shaheen Shafridi for two boundaries of half decent deliveries. Those are not bad deliveries when the ball is swinging. And he went on to go after Zaman Khan, then again Shaheen Shafridi. Boy, I really was upset when that run out happened. I wanted to see where this innings went. I think 17 of 7 is what he was on. Probably give him another 20 deliveries, he could have already taken the game away from Pakistan. There wouldn't have been
Yeah.
a close match. But yeah, overall, you'd have to say from there on, you just felt like, the Pakistani shoulders once again dropped. You felt where, you felt like the Sri Lankans were a little bit more resilient, and that's the reason why they ended up winning it because they,
Yeah.
they you know they love this underdog underdog tag, man. I swear to you, they've won the Asia Cup 6 times
Yeah.
already, and this is the seventh time if they go on to beat India. I don't know
Yeah.
why every Asia Cup I remember. I think I've been like actively following Asia Cup since 2008,
Mhm.
and every Asia Cup Sri Lanka is the underdog. It's always gonna be in India Pakistan
Yeah.
final.
But at least I think in
Every team which has reached.
2008, 10s, you always had Sri Lanka to be one of the favorites. I remember
Absolutely. I mean,
2010 as well.
but you never gave them the kind of level that you gave in India Pakistan. It was always okay. If
That's one of
not
the
in India
reasons why India and
Pakistan, Sri
Pakistan have
Lanka
never
might
played
win.
in an Asia Cup final. So in India,
Exactly.
Bangladesh have played.
Like the kind of disrespect the Sri Lanka team gets. Even a team which has won 6 times, come to the finals 11 times. I think they deserve a lot more respect than what we all
Mm.
give them.
I think Wasim Akram finding excuses saying this Pakistan. I think Wasim Akram should shut up. To be very honest, he has no idea what he's talking about. He's been cribbing about it. I think it was a absolute drubbing which Sri Lanka gave on Pakistan. To be very fair, I know the game came very close, but it was really one-sided to a large extent. And kind of excuses he's saying that this is a weekend Pakistani team. I think that's nonsense. To be very fair, that disrespect on Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka has 6 injuries. What does your team have? I mean, Sri
Yeah,
Lanka are playing with one of their main players, Hasaranga, not there. Now, I bet if there was no Shaheen, they would have been running a whole ass campaign. I mean, it's just Nasim and Harris, Rauf who's out, and Imam anyways did not make any effect for you. Abdullah Shafiq did come and score a 50. Fakar Zaman was anyways out of form, and you guys dropped. Aga Salman was not scoring tons of runs anyways. So let's be very honest. It is Sri Lanka who's playing with the second string team, and Wasim Akram should shut up. And I know he started talking the moment they were 5 down. Pakistan were 5 down. They're like, oh, Naseem and Harris is not playing. There's not even Pakistan first string team. I mean, what
but
is that excuse all about? Let's be honest. Pakistan got really, really choked. Pakistan were choked by the Sri Lankan team, to be very fair, in all three departments. In bowling department, Sri Lanka were much better in terms of the execution towards the latter end, even with Spain. Pakistan did not have a middle order bowler at all. And even with batting, Sri Lanka were much more good, especially much better in terms of the execution they had through the middle overs, taking on the spinners. Let's give credit to Samar Vikrama once again, Kushal Mendes, the way in which they took the game deep. But you can't find excuses saying you have no Harris Rauf and Nasim Shah. Then Sri Lanka can say there's no Lahiru Kumara, Chamaira, Avishka, Hasaranga, a lot more others. And even Kushal Pereira came today. So let's be very honest, guys. Some people need to find excuses. That is nonsense. If you're the world number one ODI team, you should be playing like one, and you are just finding excuses every now and then. That's not how world number one ODI teams play. You should have at least a bench strength of 20 people to come in and do a replacement. If Zaman Khan is making his ODI debut in such a big game, that really speaks about Pakistan's bench strength, and that really speaks about Pakistan's planning into this tournament. They never tried out anybody other than these three bowlers, so they were bound to get injured at some stage.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we spoke about this. I mean, exactly right before the Asia Cup, right? Remember when we were covering the preview of the Asia Cup, we spoke about it that you've been balling these fast ballers so much. You have to also realize, right? Now, for instance, if you look at an Indian team, or if you look at I probably look at a South African team, these teams, even their fast bowlers still get some rest even when they are playing. For example, Indian fast bowlers, if they're playing Test cricket, they get a lot of rest because mostly it's the spinners who will take over after the 15th, 16th over. And South African fast bowlers, I know they don't get as much rest, but even if they only have to bowl 15 overs, and the team might not survive more than that. A fast bowler in South Africa gets a lot of help. But if you look at a Pakistani fast bowler, making them play on flat tracks. You play mostly your matches in Pakistan, which the tracks are flat, where the only way to get a wicket is to ball fast and faster. So you're taking a lot out of your fast bowlers, and then you're only playing those three fast bowlers. Even when an Afghanistan comes to tow you, even when a New Zealand B team comes to tow you, or England B team comes to tow you, um, or when you're going to tour a Zimbabwean team. So I think that's where, in many ways, I think look at Zaman Khan, for instance. Look at the kind of potential this lad has shown. Imagine if this lad had played 10 matches in Zimbabwe, or two matches out of those five matches you played against New Zealand, the New Zealand B team. He would have been much more confident today and probably would have defended those runs. But I'm not saying he did a bad job, but you felt the moment he was hit for a boundary, right, of the second ball of that edge, you saw how the lad really went down to his knees because it was his first ever experience at that international level. That crowd wouldn't have been the case if he had been playing long before. This is one example. You saw Abdullah Shafiq today. He's not played much cricket as well in the one day level. Look at the talent he has. So if you give these lads opportunities, it's not like Pakistan team doesn't have talent on the bench or talent outside this team. It's about time that Pakistan becomes a little bit more braver, that the management becomes a little bit more braver, because otherwise, key moments you'll have these injuries. I'm not saying injuries will never affect you at any point in time, but at least you can minimize the injuries that happen to you at the worst possible time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, it's about planning. To be very honest, I mean, I often blame Indian team for trying a lot of bench strength when it's closer to a tournament. But what Pakistan has done is they have played some nonsensical teams by playing with the main squad. Sometimes it's good, not a bad thing to do, but at the same time you need to test your bench strength, and it's so important to rotate your fast ballers more often than not. So people
Yeah,
knew Nasim Shah was going to play with an injury, or let's be honest, Harris Roth has been playing the 100, Nasim Shah has been playing the Lankan Premier League. Okay, at least make them play the national team. Why do you guys have to make them play all the leagues across the world? It doesn't really help
absolutely.
the cause at the end of the day, because at some stage these guys are going to break down. And imagine they break down again in the middle of the World Cup. Now it's at least Asia Cup. Now what if they break down in the middle of the World Cup right before an India Pakistan game, or right before a knockout game? You know how hard that is going to be? Then you're looking for more options. This team looks very weak, and to be very fair, Shaheen Afridi, once he's taken apart, he has no answers. Mohammad Wasim is pretty much one damaged. I don't think he has a lot of swing to offer. Zaman Khan is pretty much a T20 bowler, in my opinion. Shadab is not doing the goods. He's been still erratic after even getting a good decent pitch. Nawaz is
Absolutely.
okay. Iftikhar picked up 3 wickets. I mean, I don't really consider Iftikhar to be a main off spinner, to be very
I
fair.
just felt
So
able today. I mean, no disrespect to Iftikhar. I think the ball that he balled to Samira Vikrama, I know he was concussed and probably hit really hard. And I really hope he's okay, because the kind of concussion that he got could really start affecting tomorrow or within a few hours after that concussion has happened. But that ball was a beauty. But if you look at the other deliveries, the way he's gotten his wicket, it's either a batter trying to just play him off, or a batter really not taking him that seriously. For example, Dasun Chanakar's wicket, you felt like he tried to go after him to make it easier for
mhm.
the team to finish the game. The wicket of Kusal Pereira once again was a batter's mistake than a bowler's, credible. I mean, a bowler's, work. So I think, having said that, you felt like if you have to have an Iftikhar Ahmed be the one to really rescue you, then you're in deep, deep trouble, especially as spinners. That's what I pointed out yesterday as well. You saw how Sri Lankan spinners caused such difficulty for Indians. I mean, that could have been Pakistan as well if Shadab Khan had bowled well. Remember when Shadab Khan came on to ball, how Rohit Sharma really let loose. Until that point in time, he was still caged, right? He was still struggling. But the moment he came on, Rohit Sharma completely let loose. The game completely shifted towards India. And the same thing happened once, Virat Kohli and KL Rahul on the second day was able to get used to the pitch. Again, they went after Shadab Khan. Shadab Khan was the one who bore the brunt of it.
Yeah.
On the reverse, Kuldeep Yadav, when Pakistan were finding some footing, Kuldeep Yadav came in, started taking those wickets. Again, they completely faltered. So that's where a good spinner in the middle overs, especially this World Cup, is going to be so important.
I mean, I think Pakistan is now going to search for a lot of questions. They've not yet announced their World Cup squad for that matter, and that's one thing. Now they have so many questions. I think that's one thing which I think we have Shanwari from Pakistan was put that question up as well. Came into this tournament as number one team, and but this tournament has left with a lot of questions. Absolutely, don't you think? We always sitting here and talking that Pakistan were going to be the the most dangerous team of this tournament. Defeated Afghanistan 3-0, and to add to that factor, got them all out once, 55, started off very well against Nepal. Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, Shahbaz Sharif, they can't play them. To be honest, at this point, they can't play cricket. That's the whole point. They can't even field. Bowling has been very, very, very ordinary. Babar's captaincy has been exposed. Batting has been very ordinary. Babar himself scored just against Nepal, obviously. We sit here and talk about it.
Oh, by
How
the
he's
way, this was my favorite tweet of the day, Abel. Just as I think Babar scored some. How many odd runs did he score?
28.
Uh, yeah, 28. So I think Babar had scored some 20, 25 runs when I saw this tweet on Twitter, and it said Babar is the fourth highest run getter in this Asia Cup. And I swear to God, I lost it. It's a Pakistani journalist. I mean, come on. Come on. He scored 150 against one team. I don't know. I'm lost for words.
Okay, I have an
Can
interesting
you please
average
just
for you.
celebrate?
Babar averages 18 in this tournament against other teams except Nepal. It has dropped down to 16 rather.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Abel. It's almost as if you remember when we were kids, we used to get bad marks in other subjects and used to be like, at least mom, we got good marks in English. It's a very simple case of that. It's more of a cricketing
Yeah.
sense of that.
Truly, I mean, I can understand that because I also feel at this point what Babar Azam has done is he is he's a captain of this team. Obviously, there's no change in that, but he's put that a lot of pressure on himself at this point in these big tournaments, multinational tournaments. He's been quite a poor show. I mean, let's talk about last two Asia Cups or the T20 World Cup, except the semi final. He's been ordinary in almost all the multinational tournaments. And whatever runs he scored against India in that T20 World Cup in 2021. You remember very few knocks that he's gone on to score big in multinational tournaments. Now this is going to come under scrutiny even more. This is going to be a big World Cup for him personally.
Oh
Remember, he's in
yeah, I
his
mean,
prime. He's 29 as well. It's no more a 22-year-old youngster. He's a captain of a team. He's leading the team. There's expectation. People rate him as a world number one batter every time he walks into bat. So at least now it's about time that he starts scoring runs.
yeah, I mean, we spoke about this yesterday as well, right? Where we said that he's a very good player. I think in many ways, if you look at his averages, his stats, they say a very good they paint a very good picture. But what about his? I mean, what about moments when is needed by the team? The clutch moments, the moments that have made Virat Kohli, or an MS Dhoni,
Mhm.
those are the moments that you see Babar Azam really not standing up and taking the call. Today, I felt was the perfect day for him to answer his critics, because in many ways the match against India, you can say that wobble ball was almost impossible to play. It came in at least you would say 1.52 degrees from where it was not supposed to. Fair enough, I'll give that to him. It was a tough pitch to bat on, it was a tough
Mhm.
ball to play, but today you just felt like it had to be his day. But I don't know, man. There's a lot that he has to live up to, and you're right, he's in his prime. The way he got out to Dunit Velalage, very good delivery once again, but didn't get to the pitch of the ball. didn't play it like, you know, a player who is supposed to take his team through.
Exactly, and that's something which is very concerning because Janum Jai Babar. I mean, see, this is the issue with the Pakistani fans as well because one day
Yeah,
is the king, next day
we
is
have to say
the
this. Yeah, go
next
ahead.
day is on the streets. So Pakistani media and fans are very critical about their team.
See,
And tonight, Wasi
Aisha,
and
you
Nadeem is gonna
remember?
really light up. If you're, I'm very interested already to be honest for Wasi and
Aisha, you
Nadeem's.
remember how much you tried to bully us before the India Pakistan match and how excited you were for your team? I think sometimes it's important to maintain a balance, right? Stay in the middle. Support
Look,
them just as
I'm
much
still
you
saying
should.
India are not the favorites to win the Asia Cup. Let's be very honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to be playing at Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka's home, and you heard the crowd today.
Yeah,
You
bro.
telling me that India are the favorites? I mean, India are right up there, but cannot give the whole. You cannot say that India has one hand on the trophy. India has to fight probably one of their most toughest match.
I think this is going to be a good game for. I think this is going to be the best India Sri Lanka game after 2011 World Cup final.
Yeah,
Just for
I
this.
think, and probably the best
Yeah,
ever.
2014, I know they played in the World Cup T20 World Cup final, but a 50 over is what I'm talking about. Best ODI game after 2011 final because they've not been to
Yeah,
Asia Cup final since then, and this is going to be high stakes. Remember,
yeah,
India
yeah.
India are searching for a multi-nation tournament for a while, so this is important for India as well. Sri Lanka are the defending champions at home in front of that crowd. I bet it's going to be a spinning track. They're going to throw a spinning track to India, saying that come score runs here. Obviously, that's primarily also because of the fact that this is India's weakness. India are going to be really finding their feet against Sri Lanka in a spinning track. Tomorrow is going to be important as well. If India gets a spinning track, it'll be a good preparation into the final. But having said that, India will really have to be wary. That's why I was slightly more scared to face Sri Lanka more than Pakistan because Sri Lanka at home, the turning pitch, crowd, you're against all the odds at this point.
Yeah, I mean, see, Sri Lanka knows how to play on this pitch, and they showed one thing that I think none of the other teams, I mean, that India faced, right? Nepal or even I mean, Pakistan. Those are the only two teams that we faced so far. What Sri Lanka can do is they can really make it tough for you to score on these pitches. And 50 overs game is unlike 20 overs game. You can't really go after the bowling because you have to survive for 300 balls. That's where you really play into Sri Lanka's hands. And they know how to play on these pitches. Today as well, you saw their batting. This team probably batted the best under the lights than any other team in any of the matches, right? You saw how this team can negate the conditions that other teams might find tricky because they've grown on these pitches. However, if there's one team that can really combat them, it's India. That's why it's going to be such an exciting final.
Hmm. Yeah. Next match, look at Kohli ki batting. Yeah, I think you've already seen enough in that Pakistan game. If Kohli doesn't score tomorrow, also it's fine. I think this guy is gonna. Kohli is a different level. Kohli at the age of 23 scored 183 against Pakistan, and Babar is his 29. He's not played a match-winning innings for Pakistan in a big game. I mean, maybe that one game against New Zealand in the World Cup in the group stage. That's it. Kohli had multiple multi-nation finals, which is he had already scored at 83 against Australia in Mohali by then. He had scored a World Cup 100. He had already scored multiple times in the T. He had become two times T20 World Cup man of the tournament by then. So he had done a lot of things by the time he was uh, 29. At this age, at Babar's prime, he's still finding his feet. Now that's very, very. That's where the comparison doesn't even stand. To be very fair, uh, but we have to say Babar's a good guy. It's fans who bring hate and gets hated. To be very fair, this team is a very
Yeah,
likable team. That's why we love the Pakistan
I
team.
agree. I
One of the
agree.
nicest teams out there. We love Babar, we love Rizwan, we love Shaheen. I mean, look at the gesture these guys have got. They've got a very good head on their shoulder. But to be very fair, let's not hype them up too much as well. Just keep a balance. Don't go and put them in a state where you're going to be like, oh, they're the best team in the world. They're going to come and take you down. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're genuinely a good team. And they can play the semi-final of the World Cup. I'm writing it down and telling you they'll play the semi-final of the World Cup. But provided they have to do a lot of things, they have to do a lot of things right, and it's not easy. Asia Cup is going to be a huge loss for them because remember, to come back out of all this with all the media pressure to announce the right team, it's not going to be easy for Babar Azam. The next 2 months for Babar Azam is going to be under scanner. I think right after the World Cup, it's better that he gives up captaincy as well. Rochelle Pereira, she says, courage, fight. That's how we do it under Shanu. I think Shanu Shanaka, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Man, Shanaka is. I love this guy's captaincy. I think one of the modern and most underrated captains out there. He's a leader of man. He's very good at strategies. For example, against India, right? 80 for no loss. What Babar Azam would have done. I told you this line yesterday as well, right? From Dominic Cork. What he said about Darshan Shanaka's captaincy is just perfect. Darshan Shanaka is such a proactive captain. He's unlike some of the other international captains who stay behind their ballers. And this is exactly what I'm quoting from what he said. You
Mm,
saw that he really understood that on this pitch, fast ballers are not working. Rather, he brought out a Velalage, and then the moment he realized spin is working, he didn't even give Patirana the ball. Any other, you saw someone like Babar Azam do that time and time again, bring his fast ballers in, even when you saw that Iftikhar spin was working. I mean, I won't blame him. Also, in many ways, Shadab wasn't bowling as well. But then you saw him bring in an Asalanka, Dhananjay De Silva, the kind of fields he sets. Dasun Shanaka makes the Sri Lankan team punch above their weight every single time, especially at home. This guy knows how to play at home. I know so outside in other continents, he's still yet to learn. Maybe he might not be the greatest Sri Lankan captain out there, but the team
mm,
he's got and the amount of skills he shows as a captain is just brilliant. I
yeah.
love Dasun Shanaka as a captain.
Yeah, there's a lot to like. Even last year's Asia Cup onwards, we've been talking about Dasun Shanaka, the captain. And today, here we are. He deserves all the credit that we pour onto him because he has done it not once, the second time in the Asia Cup final. And that's no small feat, man. Come on. We can sit here and talk about all the things with other teams. We talk about India, we talk about Pakistan. But how many times have we ignored the Sri Lanka team? As you rightly mentioned, the number of times we have ignored the Sri Lanka team, I think it's about time we give them the credit that they deserve because they've done a good job. They've done a very, 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 very good job. Uh, because to be very fair, last year's Asia Cup, I remember before the final, nobody gave Sri Lanka the chance. Let's be very honest. Nobody, literally nobody. Even us in the podcast, we were all like, okay, Pakistan starts as favorites. But they went on to not just defeat Pakistan, but defeat them one side in the final. And they were fighting back
They
in that
almost
final,
beat
remember?
India as well.
They bet India. They bet India once again. And
Yeah,
remember, they had to play the World Cup qualifiers this time, and they
yeah,
dominated the World Cup qualifiers. And they had a lot of injuries before this Asia Cup. They showed what they can do possibly if they have a possible team put on the field. With whatever players you give, this guy can do a job, and that's what he did. He did a
yeah.
job with the players he had. He took them. He took them with complete confidence that he can go out there and win a game for them. And not did he just defeat Bangladesh or Nepal or Afghanistan.
And
He has defeated Pakistan in a must-win game, and this
yeah.
team has really shown a lot of courage in that.
And you know what, Abel? Whenever there's a problem, right? Whenever there is a problem that his team faces. If his team, especially when they're fielding, if one of the batters is doing really well, or if someone or his team is struggling a little bit, or there's a misfield, there's a catch drop, you don't see Shanaka yell. You don't see
Hmm.
Shanaka, throw a look at someone, or you never see Shanaka lose his cool. This
Yeah.
lad just smiles, and you know his players play for him, and you know he owns this team. This is his team, and it's impressive. One huge issue that we had ever since the Jayavardhanes, the Malingas. Okay, not I wouldn't really count Malinga in this. Ever since the Jayavardhanes, the Sangakaras, they all left the circuit. I mean, Malinga has been the captain. Angelo Matthews has been the captain. Malinga's done a decent job, I would say. He wasn't a bad
Yeah.
captain entirely,
He won them
but
T20 World Cup. Let's be honest.
yeah, he won the T20 World Cup. Angelo Matthews as well has been the captain. But there's something about this lad. He has just been, he's brought back something in the Sri Lankan team that we've missed for so long. Remember 2015 World Cup, for instance? From
Yeah.
that era onwards, for a long time till 2019, what we missed, he's brought it back. And it's so nice to see. So heartening to see as a cricket fan.
Yes, that's one thing, and you always feel like there's a lot of talent in Sri Lanka, and that's finally
Yeah,
reaping the rewards as well. And that's also, you have to say, a lot of these players have been playing in a lot of these tournaments across the world. Shanaka was part of the Gujarat Titans team, or let's be Patirana, part of the Chennai Super Kings Victorian team, Sikshana, part of the team, and we talk about someone like even. Other players of this team, Kushal Janit Pereira has been part of this, part of the circuit. So these players have got certain amount of experience now leading into this particular tournament, and they've seen it, and they've already tasted some bit of success in last year Asia Cup as well. Now all of a sudden, as we do the mistake, we made that mistake last time as well, and we keep repeating that. Don't write off Sri Lanka too early. And once again, they prove that you just don't write off this team. And possibly this could be their Asia Cup once again, and equal with India and 7 titles. And that's no
Yeah.
small feat if they equal with India and 7 titles. And you have to say they've been one of the strongest Asian giants of all time in that particular regard. Because I know when it comes to World Cup, India is just 1 feet ahead because they share the same they won a Champions Trophy with us. They've shared the same Champions Trophy. India have got one Champions Trophy more, same amount of T20 World Cups, one World Cup extra. But other than that, they've been an Asian giant, to be very fair. And Sri Lanka, every single time, every tournament, we write them off, but they've always been there in the finals and semi-finals until 2014. But the last 8 years have been tough. But now, once again, you're seeing a lot of bright prospects.
Yeah, I mean, just so nice to see able. And I'm really excited for 17th. I know we have a match tomorrow as well. Tomorrow, I think we have Bangladesh India.
Yeah,
Yeah, tomorrow itself. And then, oh wait, so tomorrow is Bangladesh India, and 17th is a final.
yeah,
That's ridiculous, dude. That is absolutely ridiculous.
yes.
I don't know what
So
to
India
say.
1 day break and India go
So
again. So that's how it
India
is.
have no break, right? Tomorrow, India
India
playing
have a 1 day
Bangladesh.
break. India have 1 day break.
India aren't playing Bangladesh tomorrow.
Yeah, it's 15 today. So India
Oh,
playing
today. Oh, yeah,
Bangladesh.
correct. I forget about the fact that today is 15th. So, yeah, they have a 1 day break. I'm glad they do. I hope there's no reserve day shenanigans
There's no
tomorrow as
reason.
well. It won't matter though. But yeah, just having said that, I think there have been a lot of controversy this Asia Cup. A lot of questions that have been raised. I was still
Mm-hmm.
not a big fan of the reserve day thing,
Mm-hmm.
but at least some good storylines coming out of it. I think Sri Lanka doing so well is one
I
of
think,
it.
I think that's it's so important. Take this comment which we have, which I've highlighted right now. It is
Yeah.
from Rochelle Pereira. I think we've seen this name first time on our channel. But yeah, Rochelle says nobody gave us a chance. Called our country the worst to play cricket. Today we bet most of them fair and square, and we are in the final, deservingly so. Absolutely. I mean, they bet most of the countries fair and square, and a lot of people put criticism on Sri Lanka as a country to play cricket in. And it's fair, a lot of people were frustrated because of the fact that it was raining throughout. There were a lot of interruptions for big games. But today, here they are. Broadcasters have their faces on the mud because not an India Pakistan final tried their best to organize that ACC, and the broadcasters finally, for all that they did, it is India Sri Lanka. And that's where they will be very upset about this, very livid about this fact.
Yeah, true. And I think Rochelle is from Sri Lanka as well. I'm making that assumption. I hope I'm not wrong. And
Yeah,
I think it's
it's just that nobody called our country, right? Our country. So I
yeah,
think
our country. Yeah, correct. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll be really happy today, and I'm sure everyone around will be very happy. And we are very proud and happy as well to see a team, a cricketing nation, which is really making its way
mhm.
back as a cricketing power. And it's safe to say, at least in Asia, it's no more easy to beat Sri Lanka like it was a
No
few
more
years
easy to
back.
beat Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But before we end, final thoughts on Pakistan. What is the way ahead for them from here on? Because we've been in this position last year after losing Asia Cup, the Indian team. There were a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions. And at least it was India. Now it's Pakistan they have to go back to. And it's going to only get worse from here on for them. How do they come back out of it? Now they have to make big changes. For me, I think Abdullah Shafi looks like a solid player there up top. I think he should be given a go, even if it's with Imam. I think Harris, I still don't know, man. I don't think he's the right fit. I mean, he just looked. I've been seeing him quite a lot nowadays. After the T20 World Cup exploits, he's been exposed a lot of times. People really got to
Hmm.
know he can't play anything on the offside. And there also, I feel Sarfraz Ahmed should be considered if they have to look at an option to play spin in the middle overs. He can easily fit in at number 5 for this team.
Yeah, true. I mean, I like Harris. I mean, I like Mohammad Harris from what I've seen, right? But then again, you're right. In situations, he's not a consistent performer. He seems to be someone who has to be, whose switch has to be turned on once in a while for him to really perform. Today,
Yeah,
also, I expected. I mean, again, there were a lot of changes for no reason. We spoke about it yesterday as well. Just because you lost a match against India at 128 runs, you made all those changes, and none of those players really clicked. It's the same old players from the previous lineup that scored again for you today. Who scored for you today? Iftikhar scored for you today, and Rizwan scored for you today. Those are the same lads who have been in the lineup for a long time. So Whoa, that's a cheap shot.
Why was I happy?
Yeah, that's such a cheap shot. We just glad about the comment. I
Yeah,
should
that's
that was a cheap shot. That was such a
yeah.
cheap shot.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No worries. Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
were
I mean,
saying.
just going back to it. Why did Pakistan press that, press the panic button, and what good did it give them? It's, I don't know. At this point in time, the Pakistani management really perplexed me. A lot of things a lot of decisions that they take. I don't know where they're coming from.
Absolutely. I mean, I also feel now it's about time they announce the squad. I think they have really kept us
You
all
know,
on the toes. And Bangladesh and Pakistan are the only two teams who haven't announced the squad. People were talking about Pakistan being the most settled team. I think it's about time they announce the squad, at least the squad of 15 to say who are there, who's not there. I know they're waiting for fitness of few people, but at this point, it looks like there's a lot of there's not a lot of clarity. I mean, as Shinwari pointed out earlier in the comments, this tournament has left them with more questions than they ever thought any tournament could possibly do. Even if they were lost a bilateral series, I still would have thought, okay, it's fine. But here they've lost two games, and two games in a way which they can never imagine they would have lost. India 228 runs, Sri Lanka, I know it came close, but it was a one-sided affair at the end of the day.
absolutely. Again, you have to say that Pakistan has a lot of things to answer for. And I think the biggest thing they need to change post this 2023 World Cup is start facing major test playing nations. You have to play I know you don't play with India. You're not allowed to play with India anymore because of the political issues that India and Pakistan have. Fair enough. We're not going to get into it. We're not a political channel, but you have to play Australia in Australia. You have to play England in England. You have to play, what do you say, major. I know England or Australia will not send the main players to Pakistan. They don't trust in your security yet. That will take some time, and the only way for you to play their main team is to go out and play them in their home country. And I know there are Pakistani expats in all these countries who would love to see the team come and play. You can't just stay and be afraid of the criticism. I know. I mean, I went through some of the Pakistani YouTube channels, right? The criticism they get is unreal, guys. Unreal. Like if you listen to it, you'll feel bad for them as an Indian. But
Hmm.
even then, you can't be afraid of these things. If you're afraid of it, it's never going to give you a chance to learn or you a chance to get that exposure, because if you get exposed in the World Cup, it's too much for you to already
Yeah.
really get through or really work on. So that's why I think it's about time they go outside their sphere of comfort. Otherwise Pakistan is just going to keep having these question marks time and time again.
Getting more ticker represent. I think this is. I think to be fair, this feels very good. Alisa de Silva says that glad to be part of the crowd today. Oh, that's great that you are part of the crowd. Thank you guys for appreciating our country. We'll be traveling back on 18th after India Sri Lanka final. Traveling back to Australia. Okay, okay, you're from Australia. Hoping to travel on a victory vibe. Yeah, all the best to you. We'd really hope that it is otherwise for you, but either way, I wish you all the best on your travel back to Australia. And I think you're also new to our channel. If you're new to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel as well. And we will be here to cover the India versus Sri Lanka game completely. And I think you're also from Sri Lanka, just looking at your comments. Thank you guys for joining from Sri Lanka. I think we've got new two members
Yeah.
into our channel as well. So thank you guys for that. We will be here, and it's a wonderful country at the end of the day. Uh,
Oh,
I
and
know
the
it's a
crowd
beautiful country
today,
that's gone through
I
a
think
lot.
Alisa, you were
What
part
a
of the
crowd
crowd.
atmosphere that
You guys
was.
were brilliant. Yeah.
You were outstanding. I mean, glad that you've joined right after a tiring day. It's been what,
Yeah.
9, 10, 12 hours in the ground, and glad that you've joined us late at night at 2 a.m. in Sri Lankan time. The game got over at 1 a.m. I understand that, but it's been one crazy game of cricket, to be very fair. This is the kind of game you needed right before the World Cup, and I hope the final is also going to be this exciting, and we can have a good
I don't
game.
know, man. I don't want it to be so exciting. It was okay when I was a neutral. Well, I did not really worry a lot. I just wanted good cricket. But when it's India and it's this exciting, I don't know if I'll be able to take it. I'll have my
I
heart
don't
rate.
mind, to be very honest. You want to play more of these games right before the World Cup, and
Agree,
I
agree.
want to
It's
play in a
great for the
final like this.
sport.
See, you
It's
would want
great
to
to
play
watch.
knockout games under pressure, and that's one thing
Yeah.
India haven't been able to do it. And India's biggest test is going to be on Sunday. Let's be honest. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
one of the biggest games. I know they play a lot of finals recent past, but India and Sri Lanka are going to be head to head for a good game.
You
I think
know,
there's nothing
even
separate the two.
I have a slight sneaky feeling that Sri Lanka might just win it because they might want to win it more than India. And I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. I don't think India will look at Asia Cup like a big deal, and we don't look at it like a big deal like we used to in the past, because now we have won ICC tournaments. We look ourselves as an ICC tournament winning team. This is
hmm.
not anything against Sri Lanka. I'm just saying that Sri Lanka will look at Asia Cup as a much more valuable title than maybe India will. And I think for
Yeah.
that only reason, I think Sri Lanka might
I
just
really
take
think
it.
India are very much, they really want to win this Asia Cup as well. I really saw that in the emotions of Virat and Rohit last time around against the Sri Lankan game in itself. I think
Yeah,
India
yeah.
are also looking to win the multi-nation tournament. I think it's unfair to say that India does not want it more and Sri Lanka wants it more. I think India really wants it more than Sri Lanka at this point. A multi-nation tournament right before the World Cup. I remember last time around the criticism this team got right before the World Cup after having the exit, like Pakistan today. We were on the receiving end last year, and I really remember we were sitting there and overcritical. We were extremely critical about this team not doing well in multi-nation tournaments. And for India, at least, India will have to win the Asia Cup. They really want to win the Asia Cup to set the momentum going into this World Cup, because then first thing is that you want to knock out under pressure against a quality team in their home conditions. That's a big, big tick. It doesn't matter who you're playing, but under in a knockout under pressure to win it, that's a big tick. Then you're gonna go play 3 matches against Australia. Then you go into the World Cup. So you would want to do the right things before the World Cup, and this is the best opportunity for you to emulate a big semi-final or a final which you might just face a couple of months down the line from now. So this is your best opportunity, so make the most out of it, because if India are going to be playing the semi-final 2 months down the line, it's going to be exactly 2 months from now in November 15. They're going to be playing a semi-final in Mumbai or in Kolkata. So India will have to do their best now to really set their foot. I know India will be the contender for top four if everything goes well. So India will have to really make the most out of it, because the pressure is going to be even higher in the World Cup. So this is the closest you can get to that.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right in many ways that both the teams, it will probably mean a lot to them. And whew, excited, man. I don't
Yeah,
have any words. You know, if the match is anything like today, just excited.
yeah. So I'll just go and catch up Wase Habib and everybody else right now. Let
Yes,
me just see what's the
me
mood
too.
like.
Me too. Yes.
So I've been waiting
Ah,
the whole night, whole day for this. I know.
you know, I can
I
almost.
just
I really wish I had something really steaming hot to eat at night, and
yeah.
listen to the frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't play loud. Your parents might just wake up at night, Jaren.
No, no,
So,
I've got my earphones. I'm all ready with it.
so yeah.
Yeah.
It's 18 plus content by Wase Habib right now. So let's just go.
No, I
And
think
some
one of the other days they were doing a puja of sorts,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they were
they're doing
calling Babar
Ghante
Azam.
Ka King Mera Ghante Ka So that's the song which is there. It's right there
Yeah.
trending. All right, good night, all of you. See you all. Thank you all for joining late night from all across the world. Once again, thank you. Some people have joined from Pakistan, Sri Lanka. So everywhere you've joined, thank you all. Have a good time, all of you. See you all very soon. And we'll be joining you guys tomorrow before the game and right after the game as well. So take care. And once again, thank you all for joining. Subscribe to our channel if you're new here. And also check out our contest with Boomer 11. It's also premium contest, because that's where you can win some really exciting prizes. And check out our predictor app, predictor feature as well. This is your opportunity to predict some interesting questions what we have on our app for absolute free of cost, and win some prizes as well. Take care and see you all very soon. Bye bye.
Right.